computer.
I see your face.
Yes, we're live and we're in living color.
Black living color.
Well, this is Andrew Williams Jr. Today is April the 30th, 2020. We're all in California at this time. This is another Conversations with Ambassador Andrew Williams Jr. And no, not a diplomat, but a media ambassador and a community ambassador. And I'm pleased to introduce to you a lovely young lady I just had the opportunity to meet earlier today. It's Andrea James, who's going to introduce herself. And we have as our guest, Mr. Sir Bailey, who must mute himself so there won't be a feedback. And in the meantime, what I'll do is I'm going to share my screen briefly. And let's see if I can do that here. It says share screen, yes. I'm going to share my screen and say hello to Andrea James. Andrea, can you see yourself?
Oh my God, who is that?
Well, that's the question that I would love to have answered. So please answer that question. Who is that?
Wow, where do I start? Let me just say that I found my purpose, and my purpose is sharing my expertise, resources for our Black people locally, nationally, and globally. I've been doing what I do for a long time, and what I do is now I connect Black-owned and operated businesses in all industries globally. And two of the things that I'm working on right now, I have an internet radio show on Tuesday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I interview entrepreneurs for the first hour, both professional entrepreneurs and teen entrepreneurs. And I really want to bring, the whole family can really listen to my show.
Really?
So everybody can learn. And in my second hour, I interview people, experts from health and wellness and finance.
Okay.
And it's I'm getting rave reviews. I relaunched it back in February of this year for my birthday present to myself. I'd done it before, however, it didn't. I had to stop it, and now that I'm settled again, I relaunched it again. And so I'm really excited to do what I do because I can connect globally to all industries. And I go through Black Trade Lines, blacktradelines.com, which I'm a member of. And so I do a live remote from the Black Trade Line studios every Tuesday. And I'm just loving what I'm doing. I'm getting rave reviews, information that you can use tangibly now. It's an interactive internet radio show that my audience can interface with my guests and myself. And Black Trade Lines has been around for some 20 years, and they have over 2 million members.
Okay.
And so I'm very happy to use my platform and my membership for Black Trade Lines. Plus, what I'm doing, which I call myself self-proclaimed modern-day Harriet Tubman. And that means not everybody, if you know what I mean, not everybody is privy to know what it is we're doing, because I feel that we should not be burned down this time, and we will not be burned down this time. And the other thing that I do, I'm a regional director for the Franchise Enterprise, which is a Black female-owned and operated company out of Detroit, Michigan, and it's run and created by Dr. Sherry Henderson.
Okay.
And we have regional directors in Atlanta, Florida, Detroit, Texas, Chicago, and California. So here in California, I am the first regional director. I have from Canada down to Mexico, and that is only God that has been able to give me that opportunity to do that. And we show the cream of the crop, Black-owned businesses that we can turn their business from a franchise, and that's Dr. Sherry in the black on the right, how to change their business from a business to a franchise if they've been in business 10, 15, 20, 25 years. We can show them in just about any industries that we can franchise them, which means build, broker, and manage them. We do all the heavy lifting for them. We can take them locally, nationally, and globally. And Dr. Sherry Henderson learned from the best. She learned from another franchise company named Francorp, and Francorp took McDonald's International. They put Papa John's Pizza on the map. Napa Auto Parts, Hilton Hotels, Holiday Inn. So 2 years ago, she said that she wanted to leave the company as the president, and now she is showing us regional directors how, again, we can take a Black-owned and cream-of-the-crop business from a business to a franchise, and nobody's doing what we're doing.
Okay.
So it's time for us to do what it is we're doing to show our Black-owned business owners who already have a foothold in the economic world, and we franchise them, and we hold their hand through the process. And it's a nominal fee you have to pay, but in selling off the first 2 or 3 franchises, they get their initial money back. And the process is, matter of fact, we're going through a growth spurt as we speak. And we can bring on products, take the products into the stores, auto manufacturers, clothing, restaurants, housing. You own a fleet of trucks, or you know how to do furniture. Just about any industry we can franchise. So also what I do, I incorporate this into my show on Tuesday morning. Every so often I'll have one of my members from the franchise enterprise come on and talk about what it is that they do. So some of my listening audience that might be interested in franchising, how they too can turn their business into from a business to a franchise, which will give them an opportunity to not only prosper now, but they can leave legacies generations deep.
Right.
One generation, but as many generations as they want to. And there again, we're already developed companies globally. So I am very excited to be a part of the franchise enterprise, and then also incorporate my internet radio show, which is Today's Entrepreneur. And the part B to the internet radio show, Today's Entrepreneur, I look to do the TV show of Today's Entrepreneur, where I actually go out to my interviewees' locations,
Right.
when we actually film again,
Right.
and show my audience how that there are businesses out here that, yes, they can come and support. So it took me a long time to get here. I'm excited to do what it is that I do, and I do it in my sleep. And I'm very thankful that I am able to help create economic development, Black pots of gold. And you can take that to the bank.
Well, I know you've mentioned several websites. How can our audience reach you? Do you have an email address, or do you have a Facebook page, or how can people reach you directly? Because rather than try to search for you, we've got you in front of us now. How do you want people to reach out to you?
I'm on IG, which is short for Instagram.
Okay.
On Instagram, I'm under Today with the S, Essence, like Essence Magazine. Today's Essence. You will see a picture of Martin Luther King Jr. and you can connect with me there.
Excellent.
For my email address, Today's Entrepreneur1 at gmail.com.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook under Today's Entrepreneur, although I haven't been on Facebook since last year. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really like Facebook, although I do have to update my business account on there. I don't know if I have to give out a phone number, or I don't know how many people are seeing this.
Well, the question is, well, again, the idea is that we are going to make this available so you can share it with as many people as you choose. And the great idea is that we can share this around the world. So there's no telling when or who might see it. So I would suggest that you make available whatever you choose to make available so people can reach you.
Okay, well, I'm also on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Under Andrea James.
Okay.
You can find me there.
Excellent.
Like I said, it's on Facebook. It's I am on there, Andrea James. That's for personal, but business is Today's Entrepreneur.
Well, we have a couple of entrepreneurs that are on the line with us,
Great.
Andrea. So perhaps we'll take a moment now and we'll allow our guests to introduce themselves. Hello, Fizz. How are you?
Oh, I see Fizz.
Yes.
Hey guys,
I love that symbol.
trying to get set up here.
Okay.
Like last minute, plugging everything in. Hi, how are you?
Fabuloso.
Good.
Love that.
Let me get this speaker set up properly. All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. And see you. So, Fizz, you just came in, but Andrea James is today's entrepreneur. And she was telling us about how she's actually working with entrepreneurs to help them grow beyond their current limitations. So perhaps you could share with us any entrepreneurial experience that you're involved with or have been or intend to. And first, begin with introducing who you are so the audience can know who you are and how to reach you if you choose.
Sure. My name is Fizz. My entrepreneurship bloodline is very heavy. I mean, it's been with me since I was a child. I'm moving up into categories that I never would have expected, this to be at my doorstep. I come from the telecommunications, automation, and robotics industry. I have an 8th grade education, and I just managed to work my way up with no type of degree or anything like that. And I've been blessed to have the opportunities on certain industries that I've been involved with. The entrepreneur side of that is I am now, I have left my comfort zone of a paycheck under a corporation in 2018 to pursue my ultimate dream goal is unconventional marketing and advertising, which is going to be a big deal now just because of everything that's going on and because it's very difficult to grab society's attention. So that's where my skills come in, being able to do that. I met Sir Bailey 3 months ago at the Bakersfield Island. It is an incubator for veterans and homeless men and women that desire to pursue business and entrepreneurship. It's a 6,500 square foot lot that has multiple offices and land that we can utilize to teach and train and just kind of guide these individuals to have a better access in life as far as not just your standard garage job or something that's really not going to be something that's really not going to be it's like I tell people, sorry, you have to start getting involved into the tech industry in order to survive. It's very important. So that's where I come in. My background is to help these individuals and train them up to be sustainable. And me and Andrew and Sir Bailey have been talking and actually developing now these types of programs to help these people get to another level where they're not going to be left behind and not just, here's a wrench, make we're going to cap you out on $10 or $13 or whatever. Let's double that, let's triple that, and get them into an arena where it's going to be accessible for them, which is super important right now, especially what's going on. So it's kind of like, I guess, my involvement now, and I'm happy to be amongst you guys. I don't know if I was too clear on, or if I'm not. If you have any questions, you can ask for sure.
What I heard you say something about a large plot of land. Where is that land located?
Bakersfield.
Oh, Bakersfield. Oh,
Yes,
wow.
yes. It's in Bakersfield, and when individual in my network had called me up 3 months ago, and they're like, hey, you know, you might want to be interested in this. Here's a gentleman, Matthew Cruz, Cruise. I'll send the link right now in the chat so you guys can check out the it's a news outlet that had hosted that information for him. He's a war veteran, 85-year-old man who is like, he's been paying out of his own pocket to like help a lot of homeless people in Bakersfield. The good thing about Bakersfield right now is that it's not a desired community to go and buy land or anything like that. However, if we can put the sustainable agenda in there, and it's the property is, you know, it's not expensive, and we can develop these sustainable, you know, items like, I don't know if you're aware of the life pods and, you know, the certain other elements that we're involved with, and we can get them out to Bakersfield. We can get it up to a level where people are going to be drawn to it, and that's why where I come in is we can utilize the tech, the high tech, to push the sustainable industry. That way people will listen, because the media is not going to support us. We know that. So it's kind of hand in hand, where me and Sir Bailey, Andrew, other individuals that are involved with that it's a big deal right now. It's like the spotlight is on us, and the spotlight is not really on us. We can make the necessary moves to blow this thing up massive, because we have the connections, we have the elements, the components to do so. We have everything involved that at this point we can move forward. And when we got the keys to the Bakersfield Island, that really wasn't the case. It was really like, because the Bakersfield community is super slow. It's really like nobody really gets it, and you know, it's like so now we can actually make progress and gain traction by this type of technology and this type of sustainable arenas for us all to get involved and help the homeless, help communities like Bakersfield that are kind of like stuck in a different time, you know. So we could push them forward, get them up to speed, and just assist them, for sure.
I heard you mention the word sustainable and life pod.
Yes. Let me send that over to you right now.
Can you explain life pod?
Yes. Let me. These are we currently, like, we've been like nonstop on meetings with people in different parts of the world, just to get these life pods an understanding of the life pods. The life pod is this. And I don't really, like, I understand like everything that's going on as far as the purpose. We don't have a full plan, a full goal. However, what we can do, are you there?
Yeah, Fizz, just a moment. Can you hear me?
Yes. Ah, there you go.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, Andrea, I'm sharing my screen now.
Yes.
Can you see it?
Yes.
The life pod, or actually the entire technology about the pod. It's actually a derivative of agripod, 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 and this was a technology that was developed by Richard Nelson, who is a Canadian. Let me just type it in here. So, or so if I get the right spelling, then I'll be able to get the right result. Solarroof.org. So, Solar Roof is a technology that uses light from the sun as a growing property for plants. But the Solar Roof technology is patented, and the idea was to um, um, construct a much more efficient way of growing food. That's essentially it.
Yes.
The idea is that it's actually not what they call a carbon neutral solution. It's actually has a zero carbon footprint because it's self-enclosed and it does provide its own moisture and it recycles all of the material in it. It's really a regenerative growing system.
Yes.
And I heard Fizz mention earlier that they're attempting to achieve sustainable objectives. I'm going to share with you briefly, if I can see it here, my own website at 5 Points Youth Foundation. This is where I'm the president of that, and you'll see that among other people we have Sir Bailey right here. That's among our team, but our basic viewpoint is that we have to achieve sustainability through regenerative design, because of course if you're going to sustain a decline, then you're going to end up with a fatal result. So the idea is to utilize what's called regenerative technologies to take advantage of everything you have and understand the interconnectedness of it all, including nature, mankind, technology, the whole 9 yards. So specifically, Solar Roof, the headquarters is based in Iceland. When I say the headquarters of, they call it PodNet Global. And this is a fresh food movement. I'll have to ask those of you not speaking, however, to put yourself on mute because there's beginning to get feedback. But the PodNet Global, the local fresh food movement, is something that perhaps in Bakersfield, we may have an opportunity to create the first model here in the Los Angeles area that can be replicated globally. That may be in Bakersfield. Sir Bailey, he mentioned to you that he's with Youth Bill. They have a property in South Los Angeles at 7625 South Central Avenue that was now home to Chuco's Youth Justice Center, but it was formerly a youth detention center. So now they repurposed it, so to speak. So that's a possible location for one of these as well. I believe I may also have here, if you can see, the architectural outlines of what this would be. Now, there are multiple sizes available. This one here is called the Life Pod, for example. That's small enough that it could actually fit in a large backyard, or it could, in fact, fit on a school campus. And the idea there is that the students could then learn the entire growing process so that they become closer to nature. It's already been proven that children who plant, grow, and nurture vegetables, etc., are more likely to eat them than they were if they were to be given it out of a can or emptied on their plate from school. So the idea is that this could be an opportunity for them to not just become familiar with how nature works, but because of the high density of food growth, the idea is that this could also provide a process for them to learn how to also prepare food, for example, that's culinary arts, but to also sell food. And the idea is that we can provide a way that we can grow our food locally and provide subsistence to our neighborhoods. Particularly here in Los Angeles, we have, as you may or may not know, we have a multitude of what they call food deserts. There are, well, the term food desert was explained to me a while ago. For example, in Beverly Hills, you have one supermarket to every 600 people. And they consider like a food desert to be a community that only has one supermarket to every 6,000 people. But in my area, for example, we have one supermarket for every 60,000 people. And
what
so
supermarket is that?
actually, the closest one to my location is Ralph's Market. And for a time, they had closed it down. So then the next closest market is 5 miles away. But we have a very dense population. So obviously, if there were a major disaster, like the one that may succeed this coronavirus problem, we may have a food crisis.
Yes.
It becomes even more necessary for us to have the ability so we can have places where we can grow our own foods.
Yes.
And reduce not just the carbon footprint, but of course, the majority of foods that we get now through our grocery stores, they may have to travel hundreds or thousands of miles before they even get to us. That requires special preservatives to make sure that the food looks good enough to be sold. But of course, that decreases the nutrient value of it as well. So the idea about the agri-pods is to provide not just a growing space, but this could actually also be a teaching space, where the idea is that you would be able to have people to have courses and curriculum inside the space, let's say on the first story, while you have growing food on the second space or the third space. So this would be a completely enclosed growing system, but also a living system. So in a nutshell, if you would, that's what we're discussing. Now, we did have someone else join us. His name is Kenneth Wyrick, and Kenneth actually has a garden here in South Los Angeles as well. I'm not sure, Kenneth, if you could unmute yourself and introduce yourself, or if you like, I'll give you a little bit more of a background of who and what we're doing here. So Kenneth Wyrick, I'll allow you to make that choice.
While they're coming on, are you familiar with Grocery Outlet in Compton?
I'm sorry, repeat that question.
Are you familiar with Grocery Outlet in Compton?
I don't, not personally, no. Can you tell me about it?
It's Rosecrans and Central, or Rosecrans and Compton.
Okay.
A grocery store.
Okay.
And I shopped there when I lived in Compton. They have several locations in.
Okay. Let me, well, while I have a moment here, and I see Kenneth is moving around, but I am also going to share, I'm going to do the review of your introductory bio so that the people here can have a little bit better idea of who we're speaking with, Andrea. So give me just a moment here. All right, Kenneth, you're sitting down. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I was just about to give an introduction of the young lady that is our special guest. So
right.
I'm just going to take a moment and just, it's on my screen, but then I'll go ahead and I'll turn it back over to her. But Andrea R. James has several descriptions that describes what she does. Global resource specialist, visionary, networking, collaboration expert, diversity, integrity, relationship global builder, got purpose growth development expert, teamwork, innovation, creativity, community leader, problem solver, linchpin, and angel. Currently, Andrea has a nonprofit company called Today's Entrepreneur, which is a live, remote, 2-hour internet radio podcast where she interviews a plethora of successful entrepreneurs, as well as teen entrepreneurs from across the country. Her podcast airs on Tuesday mornings from 8 to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, showcasing entrepreneurs that are under the radar. These entrepreneurs are highlighted, giving them a platform to share their backstories with today's entrepreneurs' worldwide listening audience. She also interviews representatives from the SBA, the IRS, financial institutions, Board of Equalization professionals, law firms, etc., in order for entrepreneurs to know the good, bad, and ugly of being in business. Today's entrepreneurs listening audience is able to ask their questions too. At the same time, Andrea is regional director for the franchise enterprise, working with the cream of the crop of Black owned and operated businesses that have been in business 10, 15, 25 years or more and are looking to expand their businesses, however, not knowing how.
SATFE, which is short for the franchise enterprise.
Okay, the franchise enterprise takes said businesses from a business to a franchise, where the franchise enterprise does all the heavy lifting in the build, broker, and managing of the process system locally, nationally, and globally. The franchise enterprise can develop franchises in just about any industry. Now, Kenneth, before I turn that over to you for introduction, I think I will shift over here to the franchise enterprise. I think it's right here. So it's yes, it's called thefranchiseenterprise.com. So you can always follow up there with a little bit more information. So Kenneth Wyrick, we also have Sir Bailey on the line and Fizz. So if you'd be so kind, Kenneth, the topic today is entrepreneurship. And so if you could be so kind as to introduce yourself, and I'll turn the mic over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Kenneth Wyrick.
You know what? I know you. Hey, Ken.
Hey,
Oh my God.
So why don't you introduce me? You know me, then that saves me. Because you're in LA? I'm trying to place you.
How are you, my king? Oh my God.
Wow. Well, it's good to be on the call. I mean, I just saw the email. I've been doing a number of things. My entrepreneurial background, or my actual focus and skills, are around using open source software and being able to produce what we need. There we go. This is CalTechNet, which is something I've had since '97 as part of the Community Technology Centers network. Oh, and here is Idris. He has actually saved my constitution in the last 2 months, discovering this young individual that talks like me, that talks about the same things that I talk about, infrastructure, that talks about and has gone through a similar pattern as me, where we were accepted to top colleges and we declined to even go to them because we didn't want to be homogenized. We bring our own constitution, we bring our own innovation, and I'm just like blown away. You gonna play that, Andrew? Are you doing how? What are you doing? What was that? What did that mean? But your audio is blocked, Andrew.
It's on mute.
So you want me to keep talking? Is that what you're saying? Oh, okay.
Yes, go right ahead. Yes.
Okay, all right. So the infrastructure, having our own, not just hanging out on Zoom or hanging out on Facebook, because we don't have our own security. So as an entrepreneur, my focus has been on enterprise, meaning large establishments that bring on the training part, and social enterprise, where the nonprofit is the social structure and the for-profits can be spun off based on the training and education that comes from the resources and administration supplied by the actual nonprofit. And so I'm in this kind of place where I feel we need the capacity to build enterprises. And what I've learned is that because of the need for capacity, we need the diversity. And so often we get cut off, or we're not part of the conversations that affect us, or on a global or on a larger spectrum, because we don't have the capacity, or we're not at the table. So I wind up at the table in a lot of cases without my folks in support, because it's the information, there's so much information, and the whole concepts are somewhat different. So as an entrepreneur, being able to innovate and evaluate and do the things that entrepreneurs, the mindset that entrepreneurials need to have in terms of trying and trying and trying, but not giving up, and building the skills and then innovating. Part of my entrepreneurial part is taking what already exists and the alchemy. This is something that Idris, I've been watching his videos, the things that we can take and make something different out of it gives us that edge. Yes. So creating environments that allow us to innovate and to build alchemaic type solutions to problems, and they can be big or small, but it's this whole process of thinking and the process of ingesting, or at least being open to information, but being able to reorganize it kind of on the fly in an agile manner, without just accepting what people say, being able to check and balance. So entrepreneurial is a major framework, and it's a mindset. I was part of the NIFTY program, which is the national entrepreneur program that's at the high school and middle school level for a couple of years. And that gave me great insight into young people they need the models, and they need people that can help them take their little ideas, but broaden it. As part of the STEM program and robotics at Jordan High School this last year, I was upset to hear they have $20,000, but they still don't know how to use it. They had Disney and all these other sponsors that said, here, take our stuff and do it. But the students are so trapped in their localized mindset that they couldn't even innovate or move through that space and utilize those resources. So anyway, along with Idris, there's Dr. Randall Pinkett, who actually won The Apprentice, actually. And he is another one that I would love to know what he's doing. He's often said, bring me in. We need those types of entrepreneurs. He has a book called Campus CEO, which is a workbook on how you actually utilize the resources of being in an institution and leverage that to become a campus CEO, along with other books that he has. So at this point, I could go on and on, but Idris and Dr. Randall Pinkett are two of my my mentors in a way, or my proteges and the other thing about Idris is he's an architect. This whole thing of creating the hand of the architect, and that's where the planning, and that's where the whole innovation is seated. And so when we talk about having think tanks and that sort of thing, it becomes an architecture where we're actually creating. So maker fairs is another, here's Randall Pinkett. Randall Pinkett is another one that I'm talking about. But Randall Pinkett, he's in New Jersey, and this campus CEO is a guide for changing your mindset and being able to recognize institutional. There again, an enterprise, how you become part of an enterprise, but how you leverage the resource, the infrastructure, and the framework that an enterprise gives individuals and groups access to. So anyway, like I said, I can go on and on. There's so many things that I'm concerned about. And in the end, it's how we can be there for each other and how we can at least innovate on what already exists without just accepting what other people tell us to do. Getting on the Facebook and all this stuff enough people do it to where I don't need to do it. It doesn't provide us any more diversity for me to be on the same thing that everybody else is on. So anyway. Was that enough, Andrew? It's like, again, I'm coming into this, I'm appreciative of the time to actually talk about stuff, because most of the people I talk to don't look like me or like us. And that's, you know, those are the venues that I find myself in all too often. And I get used to it, but it's not something that, you know, I get a lot of enjoyment. I mean, I get content and whatnot, but so I'm looking for the opportunity to scale up and to build enterprises with the people in the community. It doesn't take a lot of people to have an enterprise. It just takes the focus and the actual context within projects that, you know, can move forward.
Takes the right one.
Questions? I don't know. I mean, again, this is fairly impromptu, but
I want to make a comment. I want to make a comment.
Please.
The fact that Ken is on this line, on this Zoom, wherever he is, I know that I'm in the right place.
I'm still trying to place that because I can't make out your picture of that.
You know me from Pinkus.
Oh, from Pinkus. Oh, okay. I mentioned his name too.
I know. I saw you had a slip of the tongue. I said, wait a minute.
Right.
Dr. Randy Pinkus? No, we have a mutual friend out of that's very instrumental in Watts, and he has some products, the Freshgate, that at one point
we're still working on them.
Looking to do over there at your property on Boyle Heights.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Where he stayed and Andrew stayed there for a while too.
Okay.
So that's kind of like we had the there in Boyle Heights was a major migration point for a lot of people coming to California there in the village, which we called it, when that's where I grew up. So that whole concept of you know, it's like the railroad, or, you know, the path and the whole migration, and people need places to where they can kind of stay. I have people there right now. I mean, they all happen to be white at the time, but it's, you know, I get told, well, hey, you're peoples. But, you know, I'm a humanitarian in that respect, that that there's no disposable people in that sense.
That was a house that your grandfather built.
He did. He homesteaded the land and he built the house on the weekends. And my uncle is 99 years old. He grew up there, went to that elementary school, all the schools I went to. He's still living. He lives over here in the La Brea area. And he and his wife, who's 100, went to her 100th birthday this year. So no, it's, you know, it's good. It's you know, but it's refreshing to see people that are interested. And Andrew, I always say Andrew understands more about me and have had conversations, because he doesn't like fart around. Like, I mean, people get in, you know, our folks want to party and this and that, but Andrew is very focused, and Andrew ingests information so well. If I could just get him to diversify a little more with nonprofit stuff and not think the profit stuff is going to save us, we can do whatever we want.
Well, let me make a transition to a nonprofit now, Global Business Incubation. And Mr. Paul Ruffin is here.
Oh, Paul is on the call?
Well, I see his logo there, and I did see his name. Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, well, are you looking at your screen?
Yes.
Well, he's sitting in front of he's waving at you. You can't see him waving?
No, I can't see him at all.
Oh, that's because I guess I'm sharing. Wait a minute. If I stop sharing my screen, you can probably see him.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Yeah. So Dr. Paul Ruffin with Global Business Incubation. Global Business Incubation was founded back in 1991 by veterans on the campus of Loyola Marymount University here in Los Angeles. It was actually co-founded by Dr. George Kotsvetsky and Dr. George Hess, who was formerly the head of the Conrad Hilton School of Business Administration until he recently retired. And I had a chance to meet the founders back in 2000, along with the then chairman, Mr. Lou Myers, who you might know from A Different World and Color Purple and these kind of things. But he was less well known as the chairperson of Global Business Incubation. So I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Paul Ruffin in 2013 when Lou made the transition, and Paul Ruffin stepped in as the Vice President and Chief Technology Officer. And I have to give him credit for revitalizing the organization, whereas the founders, the president and the chief researcher, Tony and Paul McDonald, they had spent decades of their lives dedicating themselves to uplift the people in the African American community, the grassroots community, in an effort to deliver some of the blueprints that corporate America used right into the heartland. But Paul Ruffin, if you could be so kind as to introduce yourself, I would appreciate that. And he's relevant because we're also talking about entrepreneurship specifically, and we have people talking about technology. It's my personal belief that, just as Ken says, we have to own our own in this digital world, in this fourth industrial revolution. We actually, I believe, have to also own our own intellectual property. And the only way I believe we can do that is by owning the hardware and the infrastructure that underlies that. So perhaps, Paul Ruffin, with that, you could introduce yourself and how entrepreneurship can impact our present and future.
Well, hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I don't have a lot of time. I just saw the email. I'm right in the middle of dinner at the facility that I'm working at. GBI, as Andrea said, was founded by Paul and Tonya McDonald, along with, on the advisory board was Dr. George Kotsvetsky. Anyone who isn't familiar with that individual, he is the gentleman who started Silicon Valley, basically. He was also the chairman and chief executive officer of Teledyne, which, as a matter of fact, still is the largest communications company here in the US. He actually wrote the grant that was awarded that started that company. The GBI in itself has always been focused at serving veteran entrepreneurs, youth entrepreneurs, and social impact entrepreneurs. And they've been doing this since 1991, or we've been doing this since 1991. Before I came on board, the GBI had already accomplished. I've documented about $4 billion in economic development in Los Angeles alone. Being an organization whose focus was underserved areas, the ghetto. And so with that is an accomplishment in itself. And much of what people talk about in incubation and the concepts of incubation, even some of the things as collaboration, those are GBI, that comes out of the GBI ecosystem that Paul and Tonya created. I even found an incubator up in Oregon called the Thinkubator, and I was gonna go say, do you really know where you got your name from? But the other piece too is that in relation to entrepreneurship really is the heart blood, of this country. innovation doesn't happen without entrepreneurs. I mean, you can have all of the great scientists and technology people, but usually those are people that don't have an idea, and you get an entrepreneur who does have an idea and brings those parties together. One of the other pieces too, in relation to veterans, our focus on veterans really comes down to this fact. Veteran businesses in the United States of America are 10% of the GDP. In my little state of Minnesota, I've got 45,000 veteran-owned businesses that actually produce 10% of the GDP of this state. Veterans are 100% skilled, 100% committed, 90% employable, and 80% entrepreneurial. We are trained in the military to be entrepreneurs, if you think or not. And there is even several programs after you leave out of military that continue that training. We call it Boots to Business and Boots to Business Reboot. The SBA and a lot of those types of organizations are very involved. As a matter of fact, the Veterans Business Outreach Center is program sponsored by the SBA in order to focus on entrepreneurship and innovation. And as I said, we also work with youth. One of the people that wasn't able to make this call, I guess, and that some of you know is Reginald Grant. But in partnership with Reggie, we have produced our Youth Entrepreneurial Impact Program that has been currently, it's been out for now 3 years. 2 years ago, it was taken on as the business training for the school system in South Dakota. So, or not South, no, excuse me, Iowa. The Iowa school system is using that course that we've developed in order to train high school, future high school entrepreneurs and business owners. One of the interesting things, and that comes out of a project that Paul and Tanya did way back in 1998 in the school system in San Diego, which was very successful. And unfortunately, we lost some of the film and the industrial footage that was shot from that. But still, you can see how this company GBI has been in the thick of entrepreneurship from the beginning. And as I said before, and actually GBI was the first virtual incubator in the country, and pretty much still functions that way. Whereas a lot of these incubators will buy property and they're nothing more than property managers. They've got some good ideas and some of them are producing some phenomenal entrepreneurs. But for the most part, incubators have taken on the notion of becoming property managers and being able to offer low-cost rent and low-cost access to resources. And that's not entrepreneurship. That's just you know, that's real estate and property management. One of the things that I am very specific about doing is hooking up a lot of the young people, particularly that come through our incubator, with mentors and professors that they will be able to learn from and glean from outside of the campus environment, and to create various working relationships with that. One of I'm going to have to cut it short. There's a lot I need to say, and I'd love to say, but what's happening here, Andrew's showing you welcomehome.vet on the GBI Emerald Veterans website. Welcome Home Vet was an initiative and project that we launched 2 years ago officially, and has literally almost, I believe, taken over and is becoming an initiative throughout the state of Minnesota. We've just got, I'm currently, I was just given 2 10,000 square foot buildings. And next week we will have online our Minnesota, our Eagles Healing Nest Communiversity. We just received our first shipment of servers. We will be running and Ken, you'll understand this. Running at 3 tera, I'll be at 3 terahertz, man, on the
Wow.
cluster. Yeah, we're not playing. Currently, right now, we've been functioning in projects. Part of I run ECI Networks, which is the infrastructure company of GBI. We are infrastructure. We're a communications infrastructure company. We own 5 data centers and have been functioning in this world for over 12, 13 years now. The current we've been working on. We're part of the larger research project for that's doing molecular folding for the cure for various diseases. One of the projects, of course, is this COVID situation, but there are a number of others that we're also participating in with the clusters and servers that we have developed. The school that's here, Eagle's Healing Nest, is 124 acres of land. Basically, it's a big ranch with school, with sheet metal shop, auto repair place, carpentry shops, and a number of places. And this is it's a transitional program for veterans. And literally it has the air of the White House. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is because this project that is here that I'm currently living at will be coming to Los Angeles through the VA. Dr. John Sharon will be coming out here within the next couple of months after this pandemic goes down. But the notion is what we're doing here will be replicated there. Currently, I'm running a facility where we have a facility of about 200 beds, of which 90 currently are filled. The people that come through here, the veterans that come through here, this is a full community because not only is it men, but it's also women and children that live here on this facility in their transition based on life circumstances and the things that happen to veterans as they're coming out and over a period of time. I just spoke with one gentleman, first 8 years it was good, and then his mental illness started to kick in and he lost it. So, he's here doing some recovery. Actually, he's doing phenomenal here. And he's in charge of a bunch of stuff, and he's getting ready to transition out back into the world. So the facility we have here will be, I wish I had some pictures to show you, but it's about 10 to 15,000 square feet. We'll be running a number of racks. We've got over 20 offices, and this was a building that was gifted to us. And we have another building that's 15,000 square feet. So Andrew, if you know anyone that has a program that wants to relocate to Minnesota, that understands, and like my sister, who understands housing and whether it be for adult or for youth, we have a fully set up facility ready to go. All we have to do is open the door and you can move in and be ready to rock and roll. The building itself, I've got it at a steel, but I can get it to you for, if someone actually wanted to buy it, I can get you, the building is priced at $200,000 and it's actually worth over $500,000 right now. So we've been, and this is because a lot of these things that are happening are because of the impact that GBI has had over the number of years throughout the United States and into the world, in various parts of the world. So I actually need to leave and deal with some of the activities tonight, and we're setting up our server lab, which will be online next week. They will be teaching 3 courses. We've got our drone course that is coming online. For those who are not disabled veterans, it's $1,500. Disabled vets have a little bit better deal based on their disability. But basically what we're doing is we're training you through the process for FAA licensing so you can fly professionally drones and then we give you the lab so that you'll be able to qualify for any one of a number of jobs that we've already identified, because we've identified 25 different industries, agriculture, security, although we've identified 25 different industries that are currently hiring trained professional licensed drone flyers today. And so we've also partnered with a couple of schools. We're part of the NACE, which is the National Association of Community Colleges Entrepreneurship, which is 300 community colleges throughout the United States who are all focused on entrepreneurship, and they run their community colleges from an entrepreneurial perspective and vector. And so I should probably land it there and ask if there might be any questions.
I noticed on one of the websites that Andrew brought up, I noticed there was a name, Dale Sims.
Yes, Dale was one of the part of the team with Paul and Tanya. If you go to the website, you'll see a number of folks. Dr. Hess, Dr. John Bollinger, Sims. Some folks are active, some aren't, because they've retired. Dr. Hess, is retired, and he still functions with us, but right now the current spokesperson is retired Brigadier General Gordon Bray. He has moved into that capacity. And there are a number of projects that we've been dealing with, along with the Eagles Healing Nest and the Welcome Home Vet initiatives, so that we can begin. Because what basically we do in our Welcome Home Vet initiative is I train communities, cities, like we have one here in Minnesota. The city of Hutchinson just got awarded the Welcome Home Vet brand. We train city leaders and community leaders and other organizations within a city in order to understand how to capitalize on veteran re-entry into their communities, not only for community development, but also for economic development and for community security. The veteran community in every single town is an apparatus that is already in place, embedded to deal with issues like this pandemic and to deal with issues such as economic development, once properly tapped into and utilized. One of the things about vets when it comes to volunteers, they show up, which is something I like.
Dale Sims is located here in Southern California, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
I haven't talked to Dale for a little while, but he's got a program down in Orange, around Orange County area with vets, doing music and art, similar to what IGC is doing, or IGM, Institute of Genetic Medicine.
Is his number still 310-569-8430?
I don't know. I'm literally in the middle of moving. We just 10 servers just got delivered today. We're building a facility for women vets to live on the property, because right now they're kind of commingled, but in an office complex. But so I don't have any of my notes, but if you Andrew can give you my email or my phone number, and I can text you whatever information I have.
Great. Well, I just texted him. I haven't talked to him in some time. I think he's
Okay.
to Brad Carson and Jobs Create Peace.
Yes. Well, see, I don't know if the last I've talked with Dale and Brad, Dale was doing something a little different, with the vets. But like I said, I haven't talked to Dale in over 5 years.
I texted Brad this morning. I'm waiting for his daughter to call me back. She's running his company now, Jobs Create Peace.
Well, she's I've been in touch with Brad and her. The last time I was in LA, as a matter of fact, we were supposed to meet Part of what we're dealing with is the GBI will be functioning as the incubator, accelerator with the gang members as they begin to develop their entrepreneurial endeavors. The other piece too is will be what was it? There were a couple of other things. Oh, in relation to the opportunity zones, working in that arena so that we can actually move ourselves into the position as fund managers and doing the like. Actually, we've got a couple of those projects going on now too, by the way, Andrew. One here in Minnesota and another one in California. California is based on group homes, youth-based group homes.
Excellent.
Thank you for answering my question.
All right, Paula, thank you so very much. I'm gonna I'm gonna be uploading this to YouTube, so you'll be able to get it from the beginning. But I will connect us all together. I just want to thank you so much for taking time, Paul. To
also before one last piece. One of the investor groups that we work with is called Peers on Demand, and I invite every entrepreneur on this call. The session is free. Rocky Romero is a phenomenal man, but basically it gives you an opportunity to get in the midst of your peers, people who are successful in business and who are doing various things, and basically showcase your business and also talk to your peers in relation to pain points that you might have. This is a good networking opportunity. It's free of charge. We do it, actually, Rocky runs probably three deals per day every week. The one that I'm involved in, we meet on either Thursdays or Fridays. And so I want to invite any entrepreneur that wants to hook up, network, that's looking for funding and or that needs to deal with pain points and needs some connections. We can get you on the show, and I know that you will benefit from the connections and the meeting times.
so what's the name of that organization, Paul? I can type it into the chat here.
Peers on Demand.
Peers on Demand, okay.
And you can go peersondemand.info.
Dr. Ruffin, this is Sir. I'll reach out offline, but I typed into the chat. I'm gonna be starting a pilot in about a week or two, probably 2 weeks. That would also be a paid stipend for any student or family that could participate over an 8-week period. And so I'll send you some more information. As you were speaking, I was thinking about the Eagles Healing Nest community, Eagles Healing Nest, but then I also forgot that you also work with a lot of families in the foster community. So I would offer to them too, limiting the number to 20 students / families. It can be a family with 2 students, and I would count that as one sort of thing.
Okay. Well, yeah, we should talk about it offline, because actually what we should probably do, since you're there, is get you connected with the DAV and the American Legion and start pulling, because they particularly based on the youth programs out of those 2 organizations, and we'll be able to pull some people, particularly during this pandemic. I think it'll be off the chain. And also, by the way, we currently have our own internal VPN. We have our own internal Zoom, and a number of other things that people are using publicly. We have internal and can distribute the tools to each one so that they can use them for your benefit, as opposed to giving money to Amazon and
Yay!
Folks, you see, I don't play.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you're saying that with the ECI, we have a Zoom type technology now that we can use rather than using Zoom.
We've had it for the last 5 years. It's actually called HTML5.
HTML5. Yeah, we should talk about how to start using that more often.
We have a internal radio network, internal TV, systems that we can just literally turn on for anyone at any time. So, you know, we have the infrastructure, we've got the networks, we've got the capability, we have the bandwidth to push, and then it's just a matter of figuring out how much it's going to, you know, actually we know how much it's going to cost, but who's going to pay for it.
That's where it is.
That's where it is.
All right, Paul.
And you know what? If you shared when we connect again, Paul, like that information on how much it costs would help people like myself creating content know like advertisers that we want to reach out to be advertisers on our content, because now we know how much it costs. So that might be a good package to present, or let us know half a day, what is 12 hours, what is 24 hours for the whole month, sort of thing.
Well, you see, and Ken is perfect for that because of his knowledge of open source, because everything that we're doing is open source. So I'll put it like this. Amazon will cost you cash. Doing it open source costs you time. Now, if we're into training our young people, then I would be more than ready to invest the time, because they're going to be able to learn and take over, you know, the infrastructure, and they'll understand from a core perspective how it really works. You know, they won't come out of school, you know, knowing how to program Java, but not knowing the difference between a floppy, a 5 1/4 floppy or an 8-inch floppy. They wouldn't even know what that is. I mean, you know, and so we've got to get away from training to meet the application and back into training to understand the profession, you know, so that instead of teaching, you know, kids how to repair the car, we're going to teach them how to build the automobile manufacturing plant. And then if they want to, they can go repair cars.
I got a course that I'm definitely going to invite you and Ken to be guest speakers in, starting on Monday of next week. We start a new unit at Free LA, and I'll be sending both of you guys an email. Me and Ken have talked about it before, as well as Fizz, but I'm excited. Let's go. It's happening. 10 smart teams.
Ken, particularly in that area, is the boots on the ground, you know, because he knows what he's talking about. Sometimes we get in arguments, you know, and we'll fist fight, but, you know, bottom line, you know, between the two of us, we'll come up with a solution that works and works well, and is secure, reliable, and consistent. Those key things.
Thank you.
All right, Paul. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
All right.
Love you.
Love you all.
Okay, Sir Bailey, since let's make this transition to talk about entrepreneurship from the standpoint of Art Life Live and providing students and opportunities and interns to familiarize themselves not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera. And perhaps you can share some of the work you've done through the Live It Well tour that kicked off actually at 5 Points Youth Foundation.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't really prepared for that. You do so much better with those scenarios. Art Life Live is a program that we've created. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. How you doing, Ken?
Good. And you? Sir?
Good. Art Life Live is a program to do just what we're talking about here. Expose, like my brother Fizz would say, careers of the 4th Industrial Revolution, and entrepreneurship, service sector jobs, leadership jobs, and careers. But I don't mind saying jobs, because I agree with Brad Carson, jobs do create peace. So the way Art Life Live works is to talk to incredible people like Ralph Johnson of Earth, Wind & Fire, and discover that beyond being someone that can train you in drums, his passion is in emergency preparedness. So if you went to artlifelive.com right now, you would see some lesson plans around what is IOSAT and why does he take it? You know, Where are the nuclear plants on the West Coast that might melt down, and things that he thinks about, and particularly now in the COVID pandemic, we see the pertinence of it, and other professionals from architecture to engineering, from music to medicine. We want to know what are the challenges and triumphs of that career path, and personal, if the person chooses to share personal and professional path. What are the challenges and triumphs in there? And then, because we want to make learning really fun, and art is fun. We want to make learning engaging and captivating and attractive. And arts are just that. So we ask each individual, what art has inspired you along the way? And utilize those books, those records, those movies that inspired an architect, that inspired a engineer to kick off lesson plans to look at. So you'll notice in the Ralph Johnson, as the example, he recommended that we make sure the students that follow his track know about when the levees broke. And so you would be able to check out when the levees broke. Mr. Ambassador Williams, you're so good. Thank you for doing that. So Ambassador just took you inside the Art Life Live site. We have a lot of individuals filmed. I just got done talking to that actor, Najee Jeter, was working with us. We've been doing this for a little bit, trying to raise the funds to pay young people to learn how to edit, so they could be editing the program, as well as being host, as well as writing the curriculum. And so, yeah, it's exciting. I did just recently talk with Najee Jeter, who's could be a perfect Art Life Live episode, actually, because he's working on starting The Gentleman in the Top Frame. He's an actor, and he's on the new Spider-Man series. But he also is looking to launch a record label with my son. That's Najee Jeter there with Kennedy Rue McCullough. And these were some young hosts that worked with us probably about 5 to 6 years ago when we started. The Living Well Tour, as Ambassador Williams was saying, is a ministry of expression of truth in community, because we recognize that it is the exalted emotions of feeling safe, loved, free, joy, and being able to express that is the cure to our cure to the abs, the swelling that happens to us emotionally and physically due to abuse, betrayal, and shame, which we all go through. Abandonment, betrayal, and shame, or even the semblance of those things in divorce and death. So the traumas that some communities call post-traumatic, we work in communities, as you see here, with the newly phrased Living Alley of South Los Angeles. We work in places where the trauma is prolonged. The trauma is intergenerational and magnified by daily situations and things that we have to handle. So the Living Well Tour is a valve. It's a valve of expression, people to come together. We've learned that the opposite of addiction isn't necessarily sobriety, but community that will pull us away from an addiction to selfishness and give us the ability to moderate and share. So that's what the Living Well Tour does. It's going around and giving people opportunity to share, particularly on the grace of Christ, the grace that's found in the idea that God so loved the world that he came and gave himself for our forgiveness, and that we have that same capacity. So our hope is to be living wells, creating living wells, overflowing with the water of life, giving thanks to people all around the world. The Greenwell family, watering fields of humanity, fits into our idea. And Menformation is a project that I've mentored with for the last 10 years. We've just gone virtual due to COVID-19, and definitely appreciate any support that people want to give. And I'm just excited about the convergence of the different opportunities that God has given me so far in my life. Being a part of global business incubation, it's an incredible time. So I definitely look forward to next semester. I'll be teaching English class. Turn on my camera for this. And if you don't mind, Ambassador, in a second, I'd like to share something from my screen. I'll be teaching an English class, a world history, and a U.S. history and a government class. And the U.S. history, I'll be working with artists from the Liberated Arts Collective, all of which who have either been incarcerated or working with incarcerated folks.
At your convenience.
Dynamite. And so we looked really quickly at the pods, the agripod, the life pod. In our case, with Chuco's community and Bakersfield Island, our goal is to create the Octa-3, sometimes called the Spark Pod, for blue and green agriculture and generating fresh water and being a solution to food deserts and climate crisis that has a zero carbon footprint. At the same time, there's a lot of different ideas out there for helping people, and I want to share one from my friend Jenny Crane. There it is. Who is what is it? I forgot the name of the program. Vets. About fresh drinking water from the skins, Miss James. That we are talking about fresh drinking water. Come on, open up.
Is that a comment about fresh drinking water?
So if you can see the screen, these dignified homes, fabricated homes, some people call them tiny, but this format, as you'll see, is nowhere near tiny, but the cost is of such that here in California, where the average price of a home is $400,000, you could buy 10 of these for that cost, because these are about 40 to 50,000, about the same price as one of the agripods. And so when we think about our Bakersfield Island or creating other compassionate communities, we're talking about centering the agripod and the food and water source, and having dignified living spaces around such. So a lot of people, when they think of tiny homes, think of, not comfortable and undignified. But as you see here, this is a real kitchen, it is 2 stories. That is it from the outside. The space from here to there is what we're looking at on the inside. And as you see, it's pretty much the size of a trailer, of a mobile home. They're fabricated. And this is only one style to be considered. This will be the inside of that space. Nice sized windows. These are constructed out in Corona, Chino Hills area of here in California. Now, as you see, that's a really low ceiling because you're on the upstairs level, so it's not a place on the second level that you could, if you were over 4 feet, you could fully stand up. But you are able to create a small library or, meditative space. And there are 2 when you come up the steps. There's 1 on both sides. So definitely could be a second bedroom for guests and things like that. What we were just looking at is right up there, that space up there. So in thinking about creating compassionate communities, we want to we want to definitely be engaging the young people from the start with interactions with global business incubation and with Black trade lines to help what we're doing here in California make sense in Minnesota. Art Life Live has been introduced to the STEM Innovation Network of Gerald Bennett. It's under the radar. We've done some work in Port Arthur, Texas, as well as Spokane, Washington, really focusing on creating these compassionate communities within the community zones. Oops, sorry about that. I want to exit that full screen. You know, I'm not going to try to share this because things are going wacky on my computer. Are you seeing urban farming, healing humanity, protecting the planet?
Yes. Yes.
Healing humanity, protecting the planet. Enough is enough. No more wars. Seek safe space. We are the Lord's. Grace is the seed. We are the soil. Sun, water, harvest. We are the Lord's. Let love lead life. We are the Lord's. See, for me, this pandemic, like the cartoon says, has two sides of it. As much as the wicked one wants to think we've closed down churches, you're finding way more fellowship happening sincerely with it. So my look is that this pandemic neither stops the actual sun from shining in the sky or the love of God from shining in our hearts. And we as stewards of the planet have a great opportunity at this time. If you know about Ron Finley, he's reminding us to grow some shit. He's telling young people and older people, all of us that have large lawns and using up more water than necessary with them, that growing food is like growing your own money. And reminding us that more people are dying by drive-throughs than drive-bys. So this is the garden at my mother-in-law's house in Van Nuys. But our start understanding what's going on with food security starts with understanding the plantation economy. The plantation economy built from transatlantic slave trade. And so really recognizing and being a spark for humanity to forgive, to repent, to reconcile on both sides, so that, like Greta Thunberg is saying with the climate crisis, or Black Lives Matter is saying with food deserts and the prison industrial complex, we need to feel safe. We need love. We need freedom, joy, and expression of that is going to create a new world for us. And so you saw the agri-pod. It's what we want in the community. And when we're doing this sort of work, it's engaging the B-boys and the fly girls. It is hip hop at this point to eat well. There's a lot of hip hop artists that have started shake lines and food lines. And so this is the High School of the Recording Arts in downtown Los Angeles. As you can see through the window, we're in downtown LA, but we're growing kale. We're growing herbs and spices. And later, making smoothies. DJ Quest Coast came out to our community, and you can see we have the green screen and studios, but we're also using fruits and vegetables to create new health patterns with our young people. I was honored to be able to work in the camps with Harry Grammer and the Flow program, the Flow of New Earth, and they also, starting with the written word and expression and creating a safe space in our hearts and minds, move to working with those camps, Camp Mendenhall, Camp Munns, out in Challengers, I believe they even started a garden, into growing food. Inspiration like that kicked off a great educator you may know of named K. Ron Valentine. He actually is doing a series in May with his book, Beyond the Crack Generation. And so now this is where I am. I'm staying in what people call Black Beverly Hills, and we just cleared out some space and many homes have space like this to put up an agropod. Our city has passed a law that people can put a tiny home in their backyard and charge a rent for it. And so those are some things that were thought and envisioned for our houselessness crisis. But like we said earlier in this conversation, why not save two birds with one basket of food? Thank you for allowing me to share. This is a final concept. I think the grander idea of what our compassionate communities might include. And I'll conclude with this presentation, with this video, if it runs. Yes, it's running. Obviously, this is a virtual concept, virtual simulation, but I think that that's what's important right now. Ron Finley said it, and sometimes gardening helps it happen. We have to broaden and enrich the imagination of our communities on what's possible in creating a compassionate community. Increase our imagination for creating compassionate communities. Thank you so much. My name is Sir Love One.
Okay, well, Sir Bailey, certainly thank you so much. Perhaps you could mute yourself. It seems like I'm getting echo. Well, Andrea, this has been a small sample of what we colloquially call the Encounter Think Tank. All of us, everyone here, is or was a member of the Encounter Think Tank that started at Los Angeles Trade Technical College, where we met Pincus, as a matter of fact, some time ago, with Marcelo Oliva. But if you have a Facebook account, you do have a Facebook account. We also have an online group there called the Encounter Think Tank. So if you so choose, feel free to join us there. We're actually started this back in December of 2014. That was just before I was, excuse me, just after I was elected president of 5 Points Youth Foundation. But now we're using this group. We have about 1,300 members to attract people from around the world. So rather than just being Encounter LA, it's Encounter Global. And as you see, respect your mother. Earth Day is what we consider to be every day. So I'd really love for you to have your thoughts about ways we can embed everything you've heard here into entrepreneurial solutions, and let us think about ways we can present ourselves to you to find ways we can network network together.
Most definitely. Well, the first thing I'd like to do, I want to invite you to be on my internet radio show. I'm looking at possibly the first week in June. Because what I've seen here today, I'm in it. I'm speechless. But the timing is now for us to live off the land, but live more economically. Matter of fact, I was talking to a friend of mine out of Detroit this morning, and she was talking about how expensive houses are here in California. Mm-hmm. And I was she was saying that, and I said, what about tiny houses? And she said, yeah, there's places that are really gravitating toward tiny houses, and it's that's the trend now is tiny houses. You buy land and you put maybe 10 houses on there, so you can get 10 people to pay rent to the owner of the property, which is a way of residual income. I look forward to owning some land with some tiny houses and possibly being one myself with the sustainability where we have grown our own fruits and vegetables and have it, why not have it right where you live? And so today is been very eye-opening, but I'm already entrenched in this. I want to invest in this as far as business goes and to be part of it, lock, stock, and barrel, because this is one of the things that's coming out of this situation that we're in right now. One of the things I already do is support the farmers, local farmers market, wherever I live. However, they're not Black farmers, and that's one of the groups I look to connect with, which is Black farmers nationally, and eventually globally. I saw on your email that I saw a lady's name, Nina.
Yes, Nina.
I think I may know her.
Likely.
Through the, she does the vertical growing.
Yeah, she does food. Well, I don't know about vertical growing, but I know she is heavily involved with giving out free food to our community here in the last few months or so. But she has a lot of interests.
What's her last name?
Womack, like James, like Bobby Womack.
She's in my phone. I just, my friend from high school, Gerald Simmons, who he connects people that own houses that need, they're looking for redevelopment or remodeling their homes. He does the home shows. So he connects the client that needs remodeling to the contractors.
Excellent.
And I was talking to him at 12 o'clock today. So this is 3 people that have already involved in this, including Terrence, who connected me to you.
Right.
And I don't, just when we pay attention to the connections and where the connections come from, which is the creator.
Yes, yes, and yes.
The fact that we're all created for a time such as this.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
And yes.
Really speechless. I'm dumbfounded, but I'm not dumbfounded, but I'm speechless. I know I'm in the right place at the right time. It was my friend Randy Pickens who introduced me to Ken. And the last time I saw Ken was when Dr. Boyce Watkins was in LA. Dr. Rosa Milligan brought him out. Dr. Claude Anderson was supposed to come in town. He wasn't able to make it. So Dr. Boyce Watkins came instead. And who's out there filming? Ken.
Well,
to him, I said, "Hey, Ken." He said, "Look at me." And he said, "Hey, Andrea, how you doing?" So, my friend Randy Pinkus, Pinkus, who has a company, product called Freshgate. And when I talked to Gerald Simmons earlier today, he said, "Andrea, have Pinkus call me about Freshgate." And I had Randy Pinkus on the phone with Nina Womack within the last 2 months. So here again, it's a small world, and I'm very thankful that I paid attention to be a part of this small world, which is making a new world, or a new world order. And it's a new world order that he wants, not those other ones that want. So however I can be connected, I'm in.
Wonderful. Well, we've come up on a 2-hour period of time, so I'm going to wind this down. I want to thank everyone here, but I am going to add a final commercial for you, Andrea, and that's with Ted Hayes. Ted Hayes had an organization here called Justiceville in Los Angeles some years ago.
Yes, he was the first one. Yeah.
He was also a member of our Encounter think tank, right? But he, for several years, has been working very closely with several of our networks, and the technology that he introduced, or actually it was introduced by Captain Don Kubley and Intershelter domes. These domes were at that time not approved for use here in the city of Los Angeles.
Yes.
But it was Les Hamasaki, who was the city planner for the city of Los Angeles, that actually got the right for those homes to be put there. And they were there for over 12, 13 years. So now I am actually a representative of this solution here in Los Angeles and globally. So the idea is that as you were saying earlier, for the tiny homes, for example, you can put 10 tiny homes or so on a lot to provide solutions. But what Ted Hayes did was he created a community, and they were able to network them together. They had their own solar power, they had their own on-site sanitation, they had the whole 9 yards. So as Sir was saying, I think it's time for us to rethink what's possible so that we can actually achieve the goals that we want to achieve by using Sankofa. It's okay to reach back for it fetch to move forward together. So any closing words from anyone? I'm about to wrap it up.
I just want to say I'm thankful, and Ted, what I like to Andrew, what I like to do when we're offline is give you my information so you can send it out to your network, so they can be a part of my listening audience this coming Tuesday, and then from there, each one of you be on my show. I do it every Tuesday, every week. So I just would like to be considered, without being intrusive, a part of the team, even though there was nothing but kings on the line today. That did not intimidate me at all.
Well, all we're here to do is uplift our queens.
Thank you.
We're not confused. All right, gentlemen, Fizz, Sir Bailey, Ken, thank you so much for joining us. I love you all. And as I said, when I'm able to download and process this, I'll send the link out to all of you, and along with our email, so we can connect together. So thank you very much. I really do certainly appreciate this, Andrea. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm there again in Florida. Is this every time, every 2 hours, and when is it? Or if we can talk about that online, let's do that.
It's when we decide to do it.
I'm sorry?
It's when we decide to do it.
Oh, okay.
I did, Ms. James, I did put in the chat, tomorrow the Living Well Tour will be doing a webinar such as this between 4:30 and 6. The information is in the chat, and I would love to have you come and listen in. More presentation. The holiday tomorrow is May Day, International Workers of the World Day. And some of the students should be on sharing work, and we'd love to have you. And thank you again, Ambassador. You know you're the man. Blessings. Enough is enough. No more wars. Make every space great, my friend. We are the Lord's.
Yes, yes, yes.
Love somebody.
Now, before we do leave, Sir Bailey, I do want to recall and give thanks to President Trump and also the 400th African American Commemoration Committee, because that will still be ongoing through June 30th of this year. Everything that you're doing, Andrea and Ken and Fizz and Sir and I are doing has not just an impact for African Americans, but the world. So I do want to acknowledge the fact that we're also in the International Decade for People of African Descent. And I think it's important that we understand we are actually all of African descent. So it's time to reconnect our families. With that, I'm going to wrap it up. Andrew Williams Jr., you can catch us later at ucit.tv or trn.tv. We're out.